They say if you disappear in the Bennington Triangle, you don't come back. But Frieda Langer did. Sort of. 6 months after vanishing into thin air, her body reappeared, laid out in plain sight, in a place search teams had combed dozens of times. No footprints, no evidence of trauma, no explanation. And just like that, the Bennington Triangle claimed its most haunting mystery yet. Because sometimes, not knowing is worse than never finding them at all. This is Cracked Relic. Welcome to the Frieda Langer Bennington Triangle case. Nothing. Not a footprint, not a damp piece of clothing, not even broken brush. And now, Frieda's body was laying in plain sight. October 28th, 1950. The tail end of fall in southern Vermont. Trees once painted in orange fire were now shedding their leaves in the gray mist. The green mountains held their breath. The first snow hadn't arrived, but winter whispered from the north. That's where we find Frieda Langer. 53 years old, lean and strong, and no stranger to the forest trails. She and her husband Max, along with her cousin Herbert Eisner, were camping in the woods near Somerset Reservoir, just southeast of Glastonbury Mountain. So this time not even on the mountain. The area was wild, remote, and beautiful, but it wasn't new to them. This wasn't a risky expedition or a test of endurance. It was just a weekend. That Saturday morning, Frieda and Herbert went for a short hike. Nothing long, just a brief walk near the reservoir. Max, nursing a knee injury, stayed behind at the campsite. The terrain wasn't treacherous. Frieda and Herbert moved comfortably through the woods. But then Frieda slipped. A shallow stream crossing. A rock, maybe slick with moss or ice. She landed in the cold water, soaking herself. It wasn't serious, no injury, but this was October in Vermont. Wet clothes meant hypothermia wasn't out of the question. Frieda laughed it off. Then she told Herbert she'd jog back to camp, change into something dry, and return to finish the hike. Her cousin agreed. No reason not to. The trail was familiar. They weren't far from camp. The whole loop would have taken her maybe 20-30 minutes. But she never returned. Herbert waited, first patiently, then with mounting unease. 15 minutes passed, then 30. By the 45-minute mark, he turned back toward camp. There, he found Max, still at the fire, surprised to see Herbert, and even more surprised to hear Frieda hadn't returned. That was when they both knew something was wrong. The two men split up. They retraced her likely route, called her name, checked the nearby trails, stream beds, and woods near the camp. Nothing. Not a footprint, not a damp piece of clothing, not even broken brush. By late afternoon, they alerted others at the reservoir and reported her missing. By evening, Vermont State Police were notified. Again, still new, remember that. And by the next morning, a full-scale search was underway. The effort to find Frieda wasn't casual. It was enormous. Over the next 2 weeks, the area was swarmed with searchers, hundreds of them. Local police, volunteer rescue teams, state officials, even a specialized military unit from Fort Devens, Massachusetts, was deployed to assist the grid-style sweep of the area. Which honestly, like, National Guard units going out to do that, that's awesome. Again, Bloodhounds were brought in to pick up her scent. Planes buzzed overhead. Helicopters scanned the tree canopy and cleared paths. The reservoir was searched by boat. Divers plunged into the freezing water to check the banks, coves, and submerged brush piles. Searchers walked shoulder to shoulder in formation, checking under logs, down embankments, and through thick stands of spruce. In some areas, they used rakes and poles to stir dense undergrowth. This wasn't a half-hearted search. They cleared square miles of terrain in rotations, logging coordinates and documenting terrain conditions. At night, spotlights were used along the shoreline. By day, chalk and flags marked out sections of completed zones. And still, nothing. No torn clothing, no trail signs, no signs of animal activity, no bones, no drag marks, and no scream. Just gone. Before we go further, we need to understand who Frieda Langer was. Born in 1897, Frieda had grown up in a structured, disciplined household in Connecticut. She came of age between two world wars. She worked as a medical technician known for her precision and reliability, and I'm throwing emphasis on medical technician. Those who knew her described her as practical, clear-headed, and quietly strong. She didn't take unnecessary risks. She wasn't impulsive, and she wasn't someone who got spooked easily. Frieda and Max had been married for decades. By all accounts, theirs was a stable, warm, and deeply trusting relationship. She loved nature, they both did. Weekends in the mountains were a regular part of their life together. Her friends said Frieda had an uncanny sense of direction. She'd led hikes before, charted routes, read weather like a barometer. She knew what to do if someone got lost. She knew how to ration warmth, and she was no stranger to the area where she vanished. The idea that she simply wandered off never made sense to anyone who knew her. Her disappearance didn't just shock her family, it confused them. No mental illness, no erratic behavior, no signs of depression or personal crises. It was like she stepped out of reality. By 1950, whispers of the Bennington Triangle were already starting to form. In just 5 years, this quiet corner of Vermont had seen multiple disappearances, each one stranger than the last. Mitty Rivers, Paula Weldon, James Tadford, Paul Jepson, and now Frieda Langer, the only one with 2 companions at her side. Local lore was already bubbling up around the name, the Bennington Triangle, a reference to something more sinister than coincidence. And unlike the others, Frieda's story had a second act, because Frieda came back. May 12th, 1951. A man walking along the eastern shoreline of Somerset Reservoir spotted something in the brush. Not buried, not obscured, just there. A body, lying openly in a clearing just yards from the waterline. A spot previously searched dozens of times. Authorities confirmed what he already feared. It was Frieda. Her body was badly decomposed. 6 months in the elements will do that, but dental records and clothing confirmed it. The mystery? The spot had been cleared, searched, sifted repeatedly. Search logs placed the exact patch of land inside the primary grid of the original sweep zone. Planes had flown over it, dogs had tracked up to it, soldiers had tramped straight through it. Nothing was found. And now, Frieda's body was laying in plain sight. Quote, There's no way she was there during the search. I was on that ridge 3 times. That comes from Glenn Hobbs, Fort Devon's search unit. Her body wasn't torn up. No sign of animal activity. Her boots were intact. Her clothes were still present. No bones scattered. No bird-pecked threads. No drag marks or shallow grave. She wasn't moved by animals. She wasn't carried by water. She was too high above the floodline. And no major weather event had occurred between October and May. In fact, the spring had been dry. No chance of seasonal runoff exposing a hidden body. So either Frieda had returned to that spot after the searches ended, or someone or something put her there. No theory could explain how a woman disappeared from a short, flat walk in open forest, only to reappear in a fully searched clearing 6 months later. And that's where we pause. So there are some theories on the table. Once Frieda's body was recovered, those theories started flying, but none of them truly held up. The first theory, death by exposure. This is the official story, that Frieda got disoriented on her way back to camp, that she wandered off trail, collapsed, and succumbed to the cold, that her body simply went unnoticed in the original search. But that's tough to accept. Her route was short, the trail was direct, and again, her final resting place was right in the zone that had been combed dozens of times. There's no reason a seasoned hiker like Frieda, one who made that walk before, would veer off into the brush and die in plain sight. Although you could throw in the wet clothes, hypothermia set in, but I don't know how wet her clothes were. Could have just been like slightly damp. The second theory, foul play. Yeah, that someone abducted her, held her somewhere, killed her, then placed her body back in the woods. It's chilling but plausible, and it would explain the clean state of the body. But who? There were no signs of assault, no robbery, no motive, and no suspects. Just one eerie clue. She was placed somewhere already searched, which is crazy if you think about it. And the third theory, she never left. Some have proposed that Frieda died where she fell, and that searchers simply missed her. But this raises serious doubts. Why did dogs fail to pick up the scent? Why did helicopters miss the body from above? And why was the decomposition inconsistent with 6 months of exposure? Some forensic specialists believe her body looked fresher than it should have, as though it had only been there a few weeks, not half a year. That's the detail that got people whispering. Maybe, was my theory, maybe she went into a different zone and died or something like that in that zone, and it dropped her. You never know. I don't know. These forests are weird. Let's be clear. Frieda is the only one to return. Mitty Rivers, still missing. Paula Weldon, no trace. James Tedford, gone from a moving bus. And Paul Jepson, never seen again. Frieda came back, and her return didn't solve anything. It deepened the mystery. Some theorists believe she was returned deliberately, not dumped, not abandoned, returned, like an offering, like a warning. This wouldn't be a Bennington Triangle episode without the weird. Here are some of the most out there theories put forward over the years. Time slip theory. Some believe Frieda accidentally stepped through a temporal anomaly, a kind of glitch in time. that she was gone for 6 months, but for her, no time passed. When she stepped back through, her body reappeared, lifeless but untouched. It's speculative, sure, but this theory appears in several books on missing persons cases from the region. A dimensional rift theory, a cousin to the time slip, that Frieda crossed into another place, not time, but space. An alternate dimension, a pocket world, somewhere between here and not here. When the door closed, her body was ejected, right where she'd left. Forest consciousness theory. Local folklore, especially among Abenaki descendants, holds that some places in these woods are alive. Not just full of life, aware. They believe the forest chooses who to take, and in rare cases, who to give back. Frieda's family never got closure. Her body was returned, but not her story. There was no funeral fanfare, no memorial built, just a quiet burial in an uneasy silence. Max never spoke much about it. He remembered years later, but friends say he always carried a sadness with him. The state closed the case as inconclusive. No one pushed for more answers. And the Bennington Triangle, it just kept breathing. You can still hike the trail near Somerset Reservoir today. It's quiet, cold, and empty. Frieda's story doesn't have a plaque. There's no marker in the trees, but those who know where to look, they feel it. A cold patch of air near the water's edge. A silence that hits suddenly. A sense that something is waiting, watching, and measuring. She was the only one to come back, but the message was clear. Some don't stay lost, they're kept, and sometimes they're returned. Just not the same. This has been episode 6 of the Bennington Triangle series by Cracked Relic. In the next episode, episode 7, we'll be closing it out, but we'll be diving a little bit more into the Abenaki lore of the area. And as always, sources are in the description and coming up in the credits afterwards. Until then, I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you for watching.
Lying awake with the sound of an emptiness you left behind. Trying to sleep, but the silence is haunting this room every night. Oh, I wish the sun would rise and see the clouds pass by. I didn't want to say goodbye to you, but you're gone. I don't wanna close my eyes. It feels like I'm falling down, falling down. Oh, why won't they go away? Pictures of you in my head. The way you left broke my heart. Breathing the air of this morning, but it's not the same without you. Wearing the t-shirt you left, but it no longer smells like you do. I can't stand to feel this way. My body's screaming out your name. I didn't want to say goodbye to you, but you're gone. I don't wanna close my eyes. It feels like I'm falling down, falling down. Oh, why heart. I don't wanna close my eyes. It feels like I'm falling down, falling down. Oh, why won't they go away? Pictures of you in my head. The way you left broke my heart.